It's something different. It's that voice inside of me. No more feeling empty. No more rushing. No more pretending to be someone else. No more searching. I have one life. I can live an amazing life. I can be free. What if less is more? Less stress, less debt, less of arguments, less of proving your worth, and more of time, more happiness, more peace, more money. That's what minimalism can offer you. Discover how minimalism can grow your business and life. Go to aminimalistentrepreneur.com. Each week, a minimalist entrepreneur with your host, Zurika, aims to connect you with real successful people who share their success strategies that you can use in your business. So, here's Zurika.
Hey everybody, it's Zurika again from A Minimalist Entrepreneur, and today I'm really truly excited because the person who's going to be sharing these awesome moments with us is a lady who is known in her industry. Well, she pretty much has had an international career and is a very highly competitive professional and an entrepreneur. She used to be in the travel industry. Now, obviously, you're going to try and figure out who is this person and what is she going to be talking about. Well, I have been able to actually get her to speak on something truly amazing. And at the same time, for a lot of us as entrepreneurs, I think we suffer because our business doesn't take off because we have a few fears. We have things where, it's all about feeling scared to make that next sale. Or we've got our skills, but we don't really know how to market ourselves. These are things that are happening every day to us. But living a simple life is about actually connecting with someone who knows what they're doing about, how they go about things, and what is it that has made them successful. So the lady who's going to be sharing these moments with us is Lynn Scott. She was the first female head of operations for Air Tours, which is in the travel industry. And obviously, through her career, she has been able to start her own coaching business. And she pretty much has a large team as well. So with that, let's invite Lynn on the call.
Good morning.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you so much for even accepting this, Lynn. So let's get started. So if you could just, in a few short words, let us know what you do for a living now, that'll be awesome.
Yes, okay. What I do is I help people lead with confidence, courage, and impact without being exhausted in the process.
Which is really important, I guess, because a lot of us are working really hard to be able to brand ourselves correctly.
Indeed.
Yes, so Lynn, just before we start, I always do this as a random question to be in the present moment, I guess. So,
okay.
What is the one thing this morning that has happened to you that is truly amazing?
Oh, I think seeing photos of my stepson's wedding, which was on Saturday, which is 2 days ago from the time that we're speaking, and just remembering such a beautiful event. So seeing those photos today was a perfect start to the week.
And this is really amazing to start the call because I think family means a lot to us. We want to live an amazing life. And if we make our business actually work, it's going to make that life much more better. And so what I've requested Lynn to do is to be able to share these moments, another 10 minutes or so, to be able to say, all right, what are the things that most entrepreneurs lack? And one of the crucial ones is how to build confidence, how to have a mindset where we have a positive reaction to sales, even if we feel shy, even if we feel like an introvert. So with that, Lynn, I'll give you to be able to cover this topic for us.
Okay, so good. And I really thought carefully about this because there's so many things that I could share, but what I want to share is experiences from my own business and what's worked for me, but also to say it's a very, very common feeling that people have is around lack of confidence, particularly when we're having to put ourselves out there. And most of us don't like to be described as salesy. It's a word that doesn't sit very well with us. So I thought I would just go through some of the key things that we need to focus on to be confident and have the right mindset in order to be able to develop our businesses authentically and, of course, to make the sales which give us the life that we would like to lead.
Yes.
So I think probably the first thing is to say that we need to be absolutely clear on what it is that we do and how we help people out there in the world. So you'll notice when I introduce myself, I could easily have said I'm a coach, but I've done that for millions out there and doesn't really do. And let's be honest, nobody lies awake at night thinking, oh, I need a coach. Instead, what they're thinking maybe is, how am I going to get everything done this week? How am I going to broach that difficult conversation with my boss? How am I going to get promoted? How can I make the right impression and have more influence, and so on and so forth. So I would say to anybody listening in that the first thing you need to think about is what it is that you do. How do you help people out in the world, and what's the solution that you're actually offering to those people? I'll give you another example. A voice coach that I know describes what she does as transforming voices and building confident performers. And a business mentoring organisation describes what it does as helping business owners escape mediocrity and live the life you want to lead. So I hope you can hear how much these descriptions tap much more into our emotions and help us stand out from the crowd, and are actually much more compelling to people. So I'd encourage everyone to really think creatively about what it is that you do, and be able to say so with confidence, to use the language of your potential buyer, and get people to help you with this. It's not always easy to come up with those phrases or strap lines, so try out a few, get feedback from people. You might not get it right first time, and you might even tweak what you want to do several times. But the first stage is being able to say clearly and confidently and with authenticity what it is that you do out there in the world.
Yep.
So that would be my first tip. Secondly, I think we need to be clear on who our ideal client is. And I know when we start out in business, we almost want to try and serve everybody. Well, to be honest, that's probably not going to be very successful. So one of the best tips I ever got was to think about a specific person when I'm writing my copy or recording my videos, writing my blogs, writing my programs. And every time I do this, I have a particular person in mind, which makes me feel a lot more confident because I know the person, and it enables me to write much more powerfully and real stuff that really seems to work much better than just trying to put smart words and phrases out there.
So
that would be my second tip.
Could you give me an example, like when you said, think of a particular person that you want to write to? So how would you break this down?
Yeah, so one of the programs I've just launched is a program called Lead with Impact, and it's for senior managers who need to be much more influential, much more confident, and have a much stronger leadership brand than they maybe have at the moment. And I've got a particular client that I work with in mind who I wrote the program around, really, and he's a great manager, but he runs at 100 miles an hour. When he's with his team, he throws so much information at them that they almost look shell-shocked. He doesn't focus on the things that are going to grow the organisation. He's focused on doing the day-to-day tasks. Therefore, his team are not as effective as they could be. So I thought about all the things that I wanted him to be able to do and to do better. And I wrote the objectives of the programme around him. And I'm really happy to say he has booked the programme. But it gave me a much better flavour of the sort of person I was wanting on the programme in terms of their position in the organisations they work in. Male or female was fine. The age profile, how they spend their lives outside work. So I had a really clear picture of the sort of people I wanted on the programme, and I was therefore able to invite those people to join the programme, and he's one of them that has joined.
Awesome. All right.
Shall I carry on with my next tip?
That'll be right. Yes, great.
Okay. And I think this is a really important one. And it's a very simple phrase, but it's been one of the most important ones, I think, in terms of developing my confidence and so on in business. And it's the very obvious phrase that people buy people. And I'd say to anybody on the call who's maybe new in business and is feeling a bit unsure, or maybe not feeling very confident, the first clients you should really go for are people who already know you, like you, and trust you. Or if it's not them, it's their friends, family, and colleagues. It's so much easier to start from that place rather than trying to market yourself out to a massive audience of people who don't know you. So my strong recommendation is that's where you start. And I've had some examples of where I've really failed in trying to get sales. And I once ran a campaign where I wrote to people I didn't know. I invited them to a free event. I followed up with a call, or at least I tried to, which was not easy given the seniority of the people I was targeting. They often have gatekeepers. And it just didn't feel right to me because I had no relationship with the person I was speaking to. And it just didn't feel I was promoting my business in the best way. But you know what? It was an experiment. And I think for all of us, let's not beat ourselves up when things don't go the way we want them to. Let's just take it as a learning experience. And I really encourage people to experiment and to try things out, because what works in one business won't work in another. And I also think we should trust our inner wisdom much more. There's lots of sales gurus telling us what we should do and shouldn't do. But you have to think to yourself, is that really the right thing for my business? And if it doesn't feel right, it probably is. But that's not the same, I would say, as making excuses for not doing some of the tough stuff. So that was one of my great failures, if you will. But where I had success, and it felt much more in keeping with who I am, I had much more success sending out personal handwritten cards with handwritten envelopes in the post to people to invite them to an event that I'm running. So it's labour intensive, but in this day and age when so many emails are not opened, this has got really great results for me. So I think it's about thinking how we can get noticed for the right reasons.
Yes, that's a good tip actually, because sometimes having handwritten letter means a lot rather than just an email.
Absolutely, and it's not ignored. Someone's getting something through the post, which is rare these days, isn't it? So
yes.
A nice card with a personalised message, I found that's really worked well for me. And so again, it's horses for courses, as we say. It's trying things that work and that feel right. And we don't always get it right first time, and that's to be expected when we're running businesses. But that's fine. It's all about learning what works and what doesn't.
Yep. All right.
We have to use the dreaded word networking, don't we? Where would we be without it? And
yes.
You know what, Zurika? I hate the word. I think we need to change the whole tone and purpose of it, really, and turn it round. Forget the word networking. Think of it as relationship building. That's the best tip I can give people who are thinking, I need to network and I hate it.
Yes.
So, of course, go to events where your ideal clients hang out. You should know who they are by now. And again, you might need to experiment a little bit. My accountant gets great results from a weekly breakfast meeting he attends. For me, it didn't work at all. But I take the view that I'll try anything once, twice, or even 3 times. And I think at these events, the goal for all of us should be to get to know just 1 or 2 people, to really listen to them, to start to build that relationship. There's nothing worse than shoving a business card in someone's face, because people don't buy desperate people. And the view we should take is, what can I do to help these people rather than what they can do for me? I think that's a really key thing to think about. And people who listen really well and are genuinely interested in us are much more effective at relationship building than those people who stand there and want to spout about what they do. Most of us are not impressed by those people and we don't warm to them.
Yeah.
So now I make it a rule to have a really good conversation with just 1 or 2 people, make a deeper personal connection rather than walking around the room, working the room, talking about myself. So as I say, my goal is to make some really good connections, and then of course you can follow up with them on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is that you use, and that's a much more powerful and less frightening actually way of meeting new people and making new connections.
True. And that's a very good thing, because lately, like, I've realized it's better to have quality over quantity. I mean, you can collect lots of business cards, but everyone's going to get busy after the event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's great.
Absolutely. So turn it round. Don't use the word networking ever again. Call it relationship building.
Yes.
I think the other thing is we make excuses for ourselves, don't we? We say, I'm not really good enough at this, I'm not confident enough at this, I don't know enough, I'm not quite ready, if I just do another qualification, then I'll be fine. Truth is, that's just a lie that we're telling ourselves to stop taking action. So I think, first of all, we need to be really honest about what it is that we're avoiding and why, honest with ourselves. And one of the ways we can avoid that, by being honest with ourselves, is by being really, really busy. And we've all done it, haven't we? We get busy on stuff that's easy to do, it's simple, but actually it's not really helping us develop our business in any way. So we might be busy tweaking our website or doing administration, and the difficult, more scary stuff goes on the back burner. It's very easy to stay in that place, and no wonder businesses don't develop when we do that. So I always find the thing that works for me is when I've got those scary tasks to do is to break the task down a little bit and just take the first step. So let's say, for example, I've got some follow-up calls that I need to make to clients who I'm hoping might book a program with me. I could be avoiding that because I don't want to be salesy, I don't like the rejection. But what I found really works for me is to break it down into maybe 3 or 4 steps. So my first step might be, right, who are the first 2 people I'm going to call? Second step might be, what is it I actually want to say to them? And you know what I found really helpful is I practice saying a few things, and I'll just record it on my phone. And what I want to do is sound confident, I want to sound calm, and I want to sound concise, because as you know, when we're nervous, we can sometimes waffle a little bit, and it doesn't really help our sales in any way.
Yeah.
So that'll be my next step, and I'll practice maybe 2 or 3 times until I feel that what I want to say sounds right. And then I'll make my first call, and I'll stand up while I'm making that call, because that makes me feel and makes me sound more confident. So if we're avoiding some of those tasks, break them down into smaller tasks and just take the first step. And that's the way to get us out of stuckness, I've found on many occasions.
That's an awesome actually thing, because I have this habit of sometimes being overwhelmed with what I have to do on a particular day. And I guess being going through the minimalist path, you start recognizing that if a room is completely full for some reason, when I was going through that phase, it is about actually saying, all right, I'll only do part of the room, and then I'm going to take a break, and I'm actually going to then come back again. So what you've said is really awesome, because sometimes we do that at work. We just keep procrastinating rather than making those small moves to actually get to the right goals.
That's exactly right. And I think something you just said is also very important. It's about having those breaks throughout the day and working in bursts. And there's a lot of research around 90 minutes working at full pace, as it were, and then taking time out to go for a walk, or even if it's just going down the road to get a cup of coffee. Those things are really important. And I don't know about you, but I often do my best thinking and get my best ideas when I'm not trying too hard. So busy fools are not successful in sales. So we need to be kinder to ourselves and allow ourselves that time and space. I think that helps us in every aspect of our life.
I like that. Busy fools are not successful.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my next tweet on Twitter.
Busy fools are not successful. Yeah, great one. And I think no call like this would be complete without talking about money, because a lot of us have all sorts of stuff around money, and for many people it means they don't charge what they're worth at all. So there's something about, there was an ad on TV in the UK a few years ago for a well-known beer, which I won't mention, but their strapline was about being reassuringly expensive, which I think is a lovely strapline. So do you want to be reassuringly expensive, or do you want to be as cheap as chips?
Right.
You need to choose. But in all seriousness, many people will start out charging too little in the belief that they'll get work as a result. well, it may get them the work, but is it the work that you really want to do? Are you working with people then who really value what you do? And of course, trying to raise your prices with those same clients from that low baseline can be really, really difficult. So what I really would encourage people to do is do more practice that we mentioned. You need to be totally comfortable stating your fees or prices to a client, and this is something you can really practice. So let me think, if I were to give you an example, I could say, so Zurika, the price of my coaching day is £2,000 and I've got 4 slots available. Or I could say, the price of my coaching day, well, it's probably a bit more expensive than you were thinking. It's £2,000. Is that okay with you? And I can throw in an extra call if you like, and already I'm starting to sound less like I believe in my own prices. So be comfortable stating your fees when you're saying them to a client. Just make it part of the conversation that you're having, and practice makes perfect. And don't be tempted to charge too little, because it will not help you in the long run. Charge what you're worth. On that note, there's a lot of, in my industry, I don't know if it's the same in all, but a lot of people do a lot of free stuff. And there's nothing wrong with doing some free stuff to get your name known out there, to get more practice in the field. If you're selling a product, it might be a free product. But I would say, make it time bound. If you're offering a consultation, make it a half an hour one. Don't provide them to everybody. Pre-qualify the people to whom you give this stuff, so you already know that they're the right sort of people that you want to work with, that they have the budget that they need, and so on. So too much free stuff is not valued. You'll know yourself if you go to events that are free, or you run events that are free. A lot of people just won't show up. They'll find other things to do. So reassuringly expensive or cheap as chips is a choice that we all have to make.
Yeah, and I like that, reassuringly expensive or cheap as chips.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
The other thing, and of course people will probably have heard this, but I think it's a really important one, is about being seen as the expert. And again, when we're lacking in confidence, we might be thinking, but I'm not the expert, I don't know enough. But actually, how do people become experts? They become experts just by telling you that that's what they are in a lot of cases. So I assume that people on the listening to this have done their research. They've gone into business because it's something they know about. So the way to become an expert can often mean starting really small. So it might be speaking at a local event. It might be writing an interesting or informative article for your local newspaper, writing a blog, a book online. These things are very, very easy to do these days. You can do podcasts fairly easily, webinars, because it doesn't matter how good you are. If people don't know you exist, you're not going to get any work. And for some people, this can be quite a blocker for them, because we might not be very confident in our public speaking skills, but there's a lot of organisations out there that can help. There's organisations like Toastmasters in New Zealand and throughout the world who can really help you practice those skills with a group of like-minded people who are all trying to do the same thing. So start to be seen as the expert in your field, and you will start to be asked to do work. You will start to be asked to speak at events. So start small. This is about meeting you where you are, and the local event can be a great one to get started.
Awesome. And what I guess we'll do is, for all those people who will be listening to this audio recording, we've learned a lot of things at the moment. They might actually sound really simple, but most of us are actually not doing half of the things that Lynn spoke about. And I do value Lynn's time. So in a snapshot, what Lynn was talking about, firstly, we've got to absolutely know and be clear of what we are doing in our life. And in case we are not that clear, to come up with a snappy title, like Lynn said, it's pretty much about going and asking for help from someone. And the second thing that she spoke about, which was understanding who our clients really are, and actually coming up with a story, so that whenever we are trying to communicate with this person, we know who this person is. So it becomes more of a friendship kind of thing. Like if you notice, Lynn was speaking from her heart because she probably knows us. She knows that we're starting our business, we're transitioning from our full-time jobs to actually starting an online business, or we've already started our business, but maybe we're a little bit fearful to actually go and get that big client, to be able to go and get that consulting project. Then she spoke about how people buy from people, and that's about having that trust. And so it's pretty much going to our inner circle first and then expanding to the outer world, because it's through our inner circle that we will actually start on the right foot. And if you even notice Facebook, even if you notice LinkedIn, they all started with a few friends and then it actually went viral. And it's the same thing in our businesses. Sometimes I think we underestimate the influence that our friends might have or co-workers might have, who might know someone who needs the service that we require. Then she spoke about relationship building, and that's about, instead of calling it networking, to actually go to an event and spend quality time rather than quantity, and actually try and help someone rather than just giving our business cards, which I think sometimes we've been taught to be able to go and just talk about our services. And then obviously we make a lot of excuses. I can't even pronounce that, excuses. And I mean, even I do that, sometimes I want to actually do the right thing for you guys. Sometimes I procrastinate and I don't actually have the interviews, or I don't actually go and meet the right person. And so I think it's about breaking our tasks down on a daily basis if we want to live that minimalist life, if we want to have a simple life and actually make money. And she spoke about money is an energy. It's a tool that we need in our lives. And rather than actually putting ourselves down, it's about actually saying, let's try and figure out what is the best price and what's the best cost to get the right customer for ourselves. And Lynn, would that be a summary of everything that you've covered, or have I missed some things?
No, I think that's a great summary, and I'll say again to practice doing this stuff and practice having the conversations that you need to have. And also I'd say there are plenty of no's in business. It's not personal. We just need to know that that goes with the territory and be able to pick ourselves up from it. It happens to all of us.
Yes. And so for all of us who are going to be listening to this call, it might be this year or it might be next year, I would suggest the best way for you to get the right coach is to be able to have that conversation with that person. And 1, 2, or 3 of you who are listening to this know that Lynn is the person for you. She's actually broken it down very simply. And if we don't make the sales in our businesses, if we don't have that confidence, it's going to be the barrier for our own online businesses or offline businesses. So what I would suggest is do the right thing. What I would do is go to lynnscottcoaching.co.uk. And when I say Lynn Scott, it's LYNNSCOTT coaching.co.uk, and contact Lynn. Speak about how you've actually listened to one of her audios and actually send her an email, book in a time to actually either speak to her or to her team to figure out how they can help you. And with that, Lynn, is there anything short that you want to say before we can end the call?
No, I would just say good luck and enjoy the journey and trust your inner wisdom.
Awesome. And so to everyone, I want to thank you for being supportive, for actually taking the time of your life to listen to Lynn. I'm sure somewhere, someone is going to have an impact in their life. Again, please do visit Lynn. It's lynnscottcoaching.co.uk. And from a minimalist entrepreneur, I want to thank each one of you for doing the right thing. If you do feel that this is going to add value in someone else's life, please do share this either through your social networks on Facebook or LinkedIn, or through email. And from the team at A Minimalist Entrepreneur, that's my brother and myself, I want to wish you and your family the most amazing time of your life. And I want to thank you, Lynn, as well.
You're very welcome. Pleasure.
Alrighty, bye-bye for now.
If you want to live an amazing life and grow a business that serves you, Then visit aminimalistentrepreneur.com and sign up for laser-focused strategies discussed by well-renowned entrepreneurs. Be free. Own your life. You deserve it.